Okay, recently in an interview, Bruce Nesmith claimed that expectations are way too high for the next Elder Scrolls game. And I don't think that's necessarily true if you have a good perspective on it. I think they can make something better than Skyrim technically if if you just have your expectations near that, you won't be nearly as disappointed. So just address some of the problems in Skyrim and you'll have a way better game. The biggest issue with Skyrim is the perks needed to be overhauled to feel like could build a specialized character. One of the most straightforward perk overhauls that they could adapt or be inspired by is Ordinator. And there's a reason why people love it so much. So many of the trees in Ordinator involve combat options or unique skills associated with those skills. So it really makes you feel like if you're trying to be a mage, you're a mage. If you're trying to be a warrior, you're a warrior. If you're trying to be a thief, you're really a thief. So that's all they have to really focus on for a lot of the gameplay aspect stuff, is making those, at least those three kind of play styles, feel distinct and have unique skills associated with it. And they can just use even a very similar perk system, just improved a tiny bit, to add that sense of specialization instead of jack of all trades, master of none. So the other major issue I had with Skyrim for the most part is a lot of the quest design. If you look at the main quest, it's mostly just a dungeon, grab a stone, give it to the Jarl's wizard, fight a dragon, a second dungeon, grab a note, fight another dragon, a third dungeon, fight Alduin once, then fight Alduin a second time, and the game ends. And so a lot of Skyrim is like that, where it's like, okay, do this quest line, crawl through a dungeon, kill something, and then you're the Archmage or something. So they didn't get properly creative with a lot of the quest lines in Skyrim specifically, the main game. But if you look at the DLC, some stuff in Dawnguard was cool. I mean, the Soul Cairn, it's a little bit cool, but mainly the Snow Elf part was like way cinematic and cool with a lot of stuff, like varied environment stuff, and when that room explodes near the end of the Dawnguard DLC Snow Elf stuff. And then when you look at Dragonborn, they're sort of how they structured everything. I know you crawl into a dungeon in the beginning of it, but they set up the black books as something that will give you unique traits and something to seek after. And then they scatter the black books across the island, and it's a good incentive to make you go do stuff because it gives you unique powers that literally any kind of character would want. And then the last Dragonborn that you fight in the Dragonborn DLC is a good Nemesis type character. Well, the first Dragonborn. The main antagonist in the Dragonborn DLC is cool. Murak. That was it. But then you look at, okay, older Elder Scrolls games had some interesting quest ideas too. So like a lot of the stuff in Oblivion, there was that main nightmare tower that you climb, that's a wizard tower thing, and you're trying to get this nightmare orb, and that was a Daedric quest, and like a bunch of trippy stuff happens to you while you're crawling through that tower. There's this town you find where everyone's invisible and it's a curse by a wizard, and you have to try to help the town. There's a Dark Brotherhood quest line, which had a bunch of wacky assassination stuff, including a Clue style mission, murder mystery mission, where you're the murderer. And so they had really neat ideas like that. In a lot of ways, the Sheogorath expansion part of it, Shivering Isles, was a unique experience in itself at the time and just had interesting themes and stuff. So they've done good things before. That was the Elder Scrolls game right before Skyrim. They just need neat quest ideas like that to get incorporated and to make it sort of less vanilla. And they just need to hide cool stuff like that. So, like, better character classes and cool quest stuff, and you get a way, way better game than Skyrim. And you could otherwise leave Skyrim almost identical and just improve those two qualities. And people would love it like 10 times more than they do now. So I don't think expectations are too high per se. But what they need is good writers, and they need to care about some of the smaller details. Like the character models in Starfield are a distinct drop in quality from Fallout 4 and Skyrim in a kind of artistic aesthetic kind of way. So they need to go back to at least how Skyrim and Fallout 4 handled it, where you get proper looking, realistic kind of looking characters, and people would actually be really happy with that. So that's all they have to do. And I don't think that means expectations have to be too high. They just have to improve a tiny bit. But do they have people who can improve on Skyrim just a tiny bit? That's what nobody knows. I don't think they have talented people like that anymore. And that's why people think Elder Scrolls 6 is gonna fail. That's what the real reason is.